this now. Hello all. Hasn't been too long since I've been back up here, but me and Smash are going to be talking about Intricate Teleport. So, first off, brief agenda. We're going to go over introduction, how to deploy it, access control with it, as well as its logging capabilities. And then mixed within these, we're going to be doing demos in order to show you exactly how Teleport works, how you can use it to benefit your systems, and it's honestly just really cool. So Smash is going to start us off.
All right, let's first understand what is teleport and why do we actually need it. So let's say you have some private infrastructure inside. So you all nerds like to build home labs, and do you guys actually secure it? Are you accessing your infrastructure securely? So teleport is one way to do it, and basically it is a very secure SSH connection which uses client and server certificates in order to authenticate and authorize all the connections. And so let's see what's happening here. So basically, you're on the left hand side trying to access private resources inside your home lab, and teleport just sits on the front side, on the public internet to access all of these resources securely. So let's see how it does that. Oh yeah, I should do that. Or yeah, some of the features are it has mandatory 2FA. We do love 2FA, and it only comes with dark theme, so we do love that. So let's see what's the teleport architecture. So it comes with three parts, the three essential parts of teleport. One of them is the authentication service or the auth service, which is what issues the certificate. So it's basically it's issues certificate to both client and as well as the server that you are trying to go to, and it also holds all your credentials and also manages the 2FA. Then second is the proxy service, which is what you use to access the private resources. So once you're authenticated, you use the proxy service, which may or may not be on the same device, on the same server. To use the proxy service to get into your private infrastructure. And then comes the last part, the teleport agents, which actually runs on your endpoint clients. So let's say you're trying to access some website inside your private infrastructure. You will run the agent on inside your private infrastructure, and that gets hooked onto the teleport web GUI, and then you can access it normally. So now let's talk about some deployment, and Max is going to do that.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about how specifically you can deploy teleport, and I just want to preface this: it's easy. It is stupid easy. The current demo that I'm going to be showing you guys and how I did it. I not only deployed all of teleport within a single 50-minute class session, I then had enough time to do another homework assignment while sitting in class. Like, it's fast, it works really well, and once you know how to do it, it's just super cool. So let's start off. What do you need? So it is very simple. Like, there's two ways to deploy, either as its standalone Linux server, or you can deploy it in a Kubernetes cluster. There's like a subsection there where you can just deploy it as a Docker container. I feel like it's covered in one of the two of those. But so requirements: you have to be accessed port 443. You have to have a 2FA app. So we've talked about mandatory 2FA. Well, you have to have the app to go along with it. It is the default, and it is the reason why one of the reasons why I love this tool so much. Next, you need a registered domain name. All communication within Teleport relies on what's called MTLS. It is creating MTLS connections, mutual TLS connections, between every point in the infrastructure. And to do that, you need HTTPS, and with that, the SSL certificates. So you need to be able to make sure that you both have a registered domain name as well as a DNS provider enabled to ensure that. So moving a little bit forward, what's your step zero? Okay, getting that machine. I'm gonna do some like flat out like shilling. A $5 like the cheapest way to do any cloud providing right now is a $5 a month in the node. I personally use this not at work, but also this current deployment. I use it for any small little thing I'm deving. They're so nice. They come with a public IP and they're cheap as anything. You can also run it on the stack. You'll have to get special permission from us, as Malik will be talking about in a presentation in like probably not even an hour, on how to set up stuff on the stack, as well as get a public IP from us. It is special permission. We don't have a ton of IPs. Next, you can run it off a computer in your dorm room. I'm sure some people know this, but RIT has the 129.21 /16 block. So all of us on Wi-Fi, even like just manually connected over a physical connection, that you all have public IPs, and you can just point your DNS record to that. And then last, I haven't personally tried this. I've heard a lot of good things, but Cloudflare tunnels. This is a way of uh, doing DNS from behind private IPs. So it will pretty much just create your own tunnel, forward the page to a DNS or a domain, and then you're able to connect to a computer without ever having a public IP. So first thing, set up DNS. There's so many DNS, so many things that you need that you can use for DNS. Use whatever's easiest. You are setting up 2A records, which is super simple. So personally, I've used everything from Namecheap to Cloudflare. There's so many more. So you have to make 2 of them. Your teleport DNS record and your wildcard teleport DNS record. Of course, you can name it whatever you want. I just inserted teleport so you can figure out like what it is. But you're gonna go teleport.domain and then whatever your TLD is or whatever your domain is. That's for accessing teleport alone. Next is the wildcard domain. So this is basically whenever you put, okay, xyz.teleport.mydomain. Absolutely anything that you put that will be sent to that same address. So it's very cool in how you'll see how that we use that and get encrypted traffic for just whatever we want. But yeah, it's simple as this. Make sure to not set proxies for it. If you're on Cloudflare, just do DNS only. But yeah, so this is actually my Linode. I created a teleport, has my IP. We just drop it in there. It's simple as that. Next, you're going to install teleport. There is comprehensive docs on all this. These are the commands. Ultimately, all you're doing, at least for Ubuntu, you add a new mirror, you apt install teleport. That's it. And anytime you have to update, apt update. It has a lot of support. It supports Fedora. I think it supports pretty much all the large package managers. And if not, they have tarballs that you can just extract and run like that. You can get this running on absolutely anything. And I'll actually be showing a demo where I do exactly that. So next, configure teleport. There's 2 things you need to give it. What your domain is and your email. I know, it sucks. You have to give it your email. That is ACME. That's how we get free SSL certificates. They require an email to be able to contact you in the event that something goes wrong or or your account is abused. Realistically, they never check it, but still, you do your part, be proper, and you're going to run the command that they give you, and all of a sudden you have a teleport service working. And with that, you now have teleport working. And then all you have to do is add users. Simple as that. Everything's running. The only account that you will have to make exactly 1 account from command line, and this is your base account. That's going to have all your roles so you can make the rest of them because you just need to make your base account. You generate that sudo TCL users add whatever your username, whatever roles you want to give it, and whatever logins to boxes that you want to give it. You do that, it's going to give you your URL, and you just go to it, you set up your username, your password, and it automatically generates you a 2FA. You check it all out, and now you have access to your actual teleport instance, and you're authenticated and all that cool stuff. It's that simple. So now Smash is going to be going more into TSH itself.
So one thing I want to emphasize on for teleport is you can access it via GUI, which runs on port 443. You can just go HTTPS and your domain name. Sorry. And you can also access and you can do all the functionalities that the web GUI offers. You can do that using the terminal, which is what I'm going to be showing. The client that you need to have, you just install teleport on your machine the same way as you did on the server, and then you'll have the functionality called TSH. And now you can, so in this case we are adding a user called Max, and we just give it the dash dash proxy, which is our server, the domain name that we registered, and then we just give the user Max. And so right now we are logging in, not creating a user. So we are logging in as user Max, and then we have a session. So this will require you to enter your OTP token, and everything is 2FA. So it is nice. So after you're logged in using your terminal, you can list out all the machines that are currently on your web server. For now, whenever you create the server, by default only the server shows up, and as you have not added any other machines onto the teleport instance. So you just see one machine, which is your teleport instance itself. So now you can use teleport to or the TSH client to SSH into your machines, which are inside your private infrastructure. So again, you start off with logging in using your terminal. You do TSH login. You give it the dash dash proxy, and optionally you can give the user if you're doing it for the first time. And after that, you can run TSH ls. So in this case, you can see we have two machines running here: accounting internal one and Sasimogus. And the third one is just the teleport server itself. So now what you can do is you can just use TSH. So by you all know how to use SSH, right? So let's say you want to access the machine teleport.demo.maxfirst.co. What would you do? You would do SSH username at the name of the machine. But instead, using teleport, since it's behind public IP, it's inside the private infrastructure. You cannot just access it normally. You have to go through the teleport. So all you have to do is just prepend the command, your SSH command with TSH right here, and it's gonna just let you log in to that machine. You can also do some crazy stuff. You can also do port forwarding. So let's say inside your private infrastructure, there's some machines which are not currently shown or hooked onto your teleport instance. We're gonna show you how to hook an instance on your teleport instance. But let's say there's some machine internally that you want to access from outside your infrastructure. So what you can do is you can again log in to your TSH using TSH login. You log in, you get the certificate, and then you do TSH ls. These are all the machines you have again. And next, if you already know how to do SSH port forwarding, it's the same syntax. All you have to do again is just to prepend the command with TSN. So in this case, what we are doing is we are port forwarding local port quad 2s to an internal IP. So this is hosted inside Stack. You cannot really access this from outside the internet. But since our teleport instance is accessing it internally, it has the certificates to access it internally. We are port forwarding our local port 222 to its SSH port, which is obviously on 22 or by default on 22. And we are going through to that machine via this machine called Sasimogus, which is already in our teleport instance. So after we have done that, we can now just do SSH. Since we are listening on port 22 or 222 quad 2s, we can just do Ubuntu at localhost and give it the port which we forwarded, and we can access it internally. We have a permission denier because we need public keys to access it. So you want to take it now?
So we've talked about like briefly how teleport works, what setting it up kind of looks like. So I want to focus on the different features. So first off is teleport applications. So this allows you to host something that is, like say you have a web server, but you don't have a public IP. Well, you can then install a teleport agent on that server and say, hey, I want to replicate this port back onto the actual teleport server. Or you could just say, I want it to have this subdomain. So I actually briefly have to get hands-free for this because we have a demo. So right here, all we have, very simply, I made a Docker container and it's Ubuntu. I installed Teleport, and I have the Python 3 TACM HTTP server. Realistically, it's a Docker container. Why the hell should you be able to publicly route it? Well, it's got Teleport, and moreover, I did something special with it. So now we have an application demo. This is running in a Docker container that has no actual public routing. We launch it, and we're able to see everything. Fun enough, this is just root. Anyone can go to this. The reason why it's so cool that anyone can go to this, I specified a public domain. Usually, whenever you set up an application, you have to first go into Teleport, launch the application, then it's authenticated. I set up a public address so that anyone can go to application.teleport.demo.maxfusco, and you can view the entire file system, download whatever you want. Of course, just an Ubuntu. So it's a Ubuntu Docker container that I'm about to kill. So you guys can have fun and like look around it, but there's not much you can find. Well, there is a lot, but not anything that's seriously special. So yeah, going back, that's the share button. Going back, we see that we are using MTLS connections to just reconnect back to the main server. And from there, we have a clear path all the way to the application.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if anyone's ever gone to Red Team and understand how like reverse connections work, we're pretty much just adding a bunch of agents to a bunch of stuff, and we can always access everything as long as we can get to that main server. Next one, some people might be very excited about this, Teleport Kubernetes. So Kubernetes allows you can set up a Helm chart within your Kubernetes cluster to connect all the way back to your Teleport instance, so that you no longer have to have your token, your config file, whatever it is, on the computer that you're using. You simply log into Teleport, and then you can use all your kubectl functions. So it works the same exact way. We're going right from our Kubernetes, and we're connecting back to Teleport. We just connect to Teleport, and then we can go all the way to our Kubernetes. So again, with this, I will actually give another demo. So we have, I actually need to check if we're logged in or not. Yeah, TSH LS. We are logged in because I can run that. So if I try running kubectl version, what we're going to do, connection to server, we're failing. There's no actual connection created, but we do something TSH kubels. We're going to be listing our Kubernetes clusters. So TSH kube login, and then our teleport demo. We log in, kubectl version, and now we have our version. We're connecting back to our actual cluster, and at no point did we have to specify a path for our config file, or do we have to specify a token. It just works right through Teleport. And it's just a very good way to simplify your infrastructure. Next, we're going to be looking at databases. Unfortunately, I don't have a demo for this because it's kind of boring. You're doing the exact same thing, but it's a database.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Teleport authenticates back. The cool thing about Teleport is it already has built all these database connectors for you itself. So you just say, okay, I'm running MySQL, this version, deploy it or run this agent, and it just goes. And you're working, you're cool, it's cool. And then you can automatically authenticate all the way through without ever actually having, it's like almost an SSO. Teleport kind of works like an SSO where you're actually able to authenticate to whatever remote database you have without the actual database. It's really cool. And then, of course, for whatever, because it's Windows, they decided not to make like an actual chart for it. So they just have ASCII art in their documentation. But it works very much the same way. So you have a domain controller, and you have something that allows remote desktops. You go into your domain, you set up an agent, it goes back to the proxy, and then from your web interface, you can then create desktops within Teleport itself. So you can then authenticate to your domain wherever you are, as long as you can access your Teleport cluster. So you can have an Active Directory that is completely off the internet, completely can reach out, of course, to your proxy, but completely what you call it, segmented. Other than that, and you are able to still get desktop sessions into it. It's really cool. And for the larger demo, I'm going to show you how easy it is to deploy everything. So I'm actually just realizing I probably should have made sure that my Arliss session is still up. Well, if it's not up, we're going to scrap this demo, but it's just a really cool way. You can SSH into Arliss. Can you imagine if you knew about this freshman year and you didn't have to like manually type in everything, and so you could actually copy and paste? And good enough, it's still up. Okay. This is a completely new Arliss session. I've never touched this this instance. Yeah, it's actually me getting prompted for the first time. We log in as student. Probably should close some of that stuff out. Yeah, so we're here. We go to our servers. What's a big add server button? Well, it adds a server. Click next. We get this low command that we can run. I personally don't want to type it all in, so we can go to paste bin. We paste it in. Create new paste. This is just my way of simplifying it, so I have to limit, so I can limit whatever I have to type. And let's hope this is actually student. I'd be real mad if they change the password somehow. Let's go. Terminal. Yeah, Arliss slowness, we love it all. I can't spell student that wrong. Let's make sure that curl's actually installed. Other thing that I forgot to mention, this is a little bit on a time clock. These sessions to initially set up only last for 5 minutes. So I can promise that this will not take more than 5 minutes. Raw and ACRG. What? Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Yep. And no, I don't want this. And we now pipe it into bash, and boom, 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 it starts running. Right now, it's installing everything. It's gonna right now unpacking teleport. You can see that. Happy teleporting. That means we're all good. It enabled the service, and we're done. We can say bye teleport. We don't need you anymore. Bye Arliss. And then the other thing we have to remember, there's a student user, whatever it is. We add that as one of, I didn't do that. Okay, we have a student user now that we can log in as. Test connection. For whatever reason, Arliss decides never to work with that one. Okay, now we look at our resources. We now have student, our student virtual machine, student, and we're on Arliss. We can, for whatever reason, I have no idea why this is, but just for like my specific install, it doesn't like any like special characters. So I can just go over here, TSH-LS, we SSH student at, wow, they really want me to spell student a lot. And it's TSH-SH, SSH. What did I do? Access to my student connected. Did I spell it wrong? Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but I should be able to go in. Oh yeah, I should have just copied this. Hmm, that's weird. I might just have to log out and log
Yeah.
back in. That's a minor issue. But yeah, we now have access. As you can see, we can copy and paste as much as we want. Much better than Arliss. We can actually see system CTL status. Teleport. We can see it running. We can see my little fun thing in the middle. Yeah, and just like that, we deployed teleport on an Arliss machine in under 5 minutes. Yeah. So that's it for that demo, and we're going to be going back to Smash for access control. Slideshow.
So now let's say you have your teleport instance up and running and you have a lot of agents, a lot of virtual machines in there. Now you want to distribute this, the access, you want to give the access to multiple people. So you can just create a user for them, but the issue that you will run into is if you give them a normal access, they will be able to see all the machines that you have on your server, which you might not like. So what you can do is you can restrict the user access to specific resources or specific VMs on your cluster by using access control, the role-based access control. So by default, it comes with three roles. One of them is editor, which lets you modify the cluster configuration, which basically means you can add servers. So if you don't give anyone that access, they will not be able to add more servers on the instance. There's access, which will let them access the cluster resources. And then we have the auditor, which means they can view logs. This will be showing you more about logs. But but these are the three roles that comes pre-built. But there's more that you can do. You can have much more finer control over this. So what you can do is you can restrict access based on the name of a VM. So let's say a company follows a naming convention of let's say accounting dash internal and dash one. So one for their first machine, then next machine would be accounting dash internal two. So what you can do is you can create a YAML file, and basically you just have to specify that you can the role is allowed to access the accounting dash internal, and you can also have wildcards in here, which is so cool. You can say anyone which has this role will be able to log in to accounting dash internal star, which means any of the accounting internal machines with the user Ubuntu. So here is the login Ubuntu. And then you can obviously deny, you really want to deny access to your main server cluster, because if they can't get onto your server, they can create some damage or just bring down the whole server. So let's look at the demo. Can you bring the browser?
Yeah, that's demo
Yep.
one.
So right here, if we go to team and users, we have a bunch of users here, but we have a test user, and if you can see, okay, let me get bigger. Never mind. You can see that the test user is in the accounting role, and it's the exactly same role that I was showing in the slides, which is this one. So users. So if we change our user account from admin to this user, we will only be able to see the machine accounting dash internal one, and will not be able to see all these other machines because of the role that we have specified. And it's very easy to give the role. You just create a new user and you select the role from here. Let's talk about logging. So when it comes to logging, Teleport has so much logging that I've never seen before. So obviously it logs in whoever is logging into your instance, whoever is making an SSH connection using the TSH client. But on top of that, it also has a video capture of all the commands that you're typing into your terminal. It is so awesome. So let's go back to the instance and let's show you some recordings that we have. So we go to activity tab, and mind you, you need to have the audit role in order to view these logs. So if you go to, you can also view the active sessions. You can see how many people have already logged in and logged into a session. We don't have a session right now.
You can also join other people's sessions.
Yes.
So it acts like almost like a Tmux session where you can just join in with them.
And if we go to session recordings, you can see we have the session recordings on on the per machine basis. So if we just go here and click on play, you can see all the commands that Max entered in that virtual machine that we just created. This is so cool. So with that, we come to an end to our presentation. Do we have any questions? No questions?
How can this be used offensively?
Yes, that's a very good question. So if we go back to our teleport instance, all so you can use this as a red team tool as well. So all you have to do is you go to servers, you go click add server, and you basically copy paste this command to any of the machines which can connect to the internet, and you'll be able to access their machine. So it's basically acts as a C2 server, if you say. Yeah. Thanks, Kenny, for that question.
How do you detect the
System CTL status teleport. Plus, you also have like MTLS connections coming out, so that you can use with like SS Tech Tulpin. Yeah, you can spin this up real quick. This would be a good way to ensure, like, realistically, with teleport, you don't need any passwords. You don't need. You don't even need any of your users to have a password, have a key associated to it. You could lock down every single user, and then install teleport on it, and then you have your main teleport instance that can just connect back, and then you have access to a block that's completely blocked off. Of course, besides the actual like agent forwarding back to your proxy server, you can be completely blocked off. None of those users will have valid passwords or passwords at all, and there's no way to log in otherwise. This is a hypothetical. So yeah, so with scoring, you are correct. You need that user to be able to log in. But this realistically, you could lock out every single other user, including your own, and you know that you have the ability to get back on that box as long as that service is running. Any other questions? Yeah, yeah. This is usually against the rules. Everything's hypothetical, of course. Okay, cool. Oh,
A couple questions. So, teleport, right? Pretty nice for like reverse connections and authentication and network segmentation. What makes it better, in your opinion, than something like Tailscale or setting up like WireGuard Easy or doing like Cloudflare tunneling with like Google 2FA, stuff like that?
so Ashley's asking a question about alternatives. There's stuff like WireGuard, Tailscale, all of that. I think first off, it is completely open source and free to set up. Tailscale, you have to use the actual Tailscale server itself and then pay based on connections. WireGuard, again, free, but is a pain in the ass to set up at times. Teleport is the tool by far that's the easiest that's been able to set up, the most user friendly. Like I can send anyone an invite link, they immediately get access to whatever boxes they have. They can log in to whatever boxes they want to using the users that they have, and it's just very simple to delegate. It's very pretty. Yeah, I really like how it looks.
Also, also one thing that also one thing that we did not mention in the slides is it is SOC 2 compliant. Like it has some compliance, so you can use it as an enterprise solution where you really care about security.
I think it might even be FedRAMP.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then another question. So you mentioned the ability to have it within your Kubernetes cluster. Do you know if you can actually do routing for like services within your Kubernetes cluster to the outside? So say you had an application within your KX cluster, like your Ripon instance, or like a Elk stack. Would you be able to then route that out and then access that through teleport?
Yeah, so as I understand it, you can actually set up a teleport agent. Like you can set up teleport agents as proxies themselves within, and then just use them almost as like node balancers, where you can just say, "Hey, I wanted to access X, Y, and Z. Forward those ports to these locations," and then teleport will just replicate it. So realistically, you could just use this as a front end to Kubernetes, assuming you want to set it up like that. So by base, it is just TOTP, the like Duo, whatever it is. You can also enable GitHub authentication. That's supported on base. There's OIDC, so you can realistically take any Auth2 provider, port it right into this. I've used this at work, and we do that, and it works seamlessly. There's a lot of ways. Make sure that it's as flexible as you want it to be. Anything else?
Are you able to use this behind CDNet? They're using something like Cloudflare tunneling stuff like that. Because I know I've tried this out in the past, and that was my issue because I didn't have a public IP, so I couldn't access 443 from my home.
All that's required to be public is port 433. So realistically, with Cloudflare tunnels, the only ports that you can guarantee to be completely pushed forward are HTTP ports. So I am almost certain that you can immediately replicate that using Cloudflare tunnels without any issue of you have to normal Cloudflare tunnels. Whenever you're replicating anything that's not HTTP or HTTPS traffic, you are required to first replicate that port on your own local machine, or then connect to that local port, and then it's it pretty much just goes through a WebSocket tunnel. This should actually just be able to replicate and work properly. Again, haven't tried that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Cool. We have a lot of good other amazing presentations coming up, so we'll cede our time. Good luck to the next presenter.